It wouldn't begin with a siren. It would begin with silence. For decades, we've imagined the Third World War as a sudden, blinding flash, a cinematic apocalypse. But the reality of modern geopolitical conflict is far more insidious. If World War III started tomorrow, it wouldn't announce itself with a declaration of war. It would creep into our lives through the very systems we rely on to survive. This is not a Hollywood script. This is a realistic, minute-by-minute breakdown of what would happen if the fragile global order finally collapsed. Day zero, the spark. Before a single troop crosses a border, the invisible war begins. State-sponsored hacking groups execute dormant sleeper malware planted years ago inside critical infrastructure. In the span of hours, the digital backbone of the modern world fractures. Regional power grids fail. GPS networks are jammed, sending global shipping and commercial aviation into chaos. You reach for your phone to check the news, to text your family. But there is no signal. The internet, fractured by severed undersea cables and targeted satellite attacks, becomes heavily localized and heavily censored in the banks. Digital ledgers freeze. Cash is suddenly the only currency, but the ATMs are dead. The panic is immediate, contagious, and entirely justified. Normalcy bias the human brain's insistence that everything will be fine shatters. Day 1 to 3, the panic and the mobilization. As supply chains instantly paralyze, major cities realize they only have a 3-day supply of food. Supermarkets become battlegrounds behind closed doors. Mutual defense pacts like NATO's Article 5 or regional security alliances in the Pacific are triggered. The world rapidly polarizes into two massive coalitions. There is no time for public debate. Presidents and prime ministers invoke emergency powers. Borders are sealed. Civilian airspace is shut down indefinitely. If you are caught in a foreign country, you are stranded. Military bases around the world go into high alert. The skies fill with transport planes and early warning aircraft. For the first time since 1945, the major superpowers of the world are directly engaging one another's conventional forces. The proxy wars are over. The main event has begun. Week 1, the end of the global economy. The stock market doesn't just crash, it is suspended indefinitely. The interconnected global trade system that brought you cheap electronics, off-season fruit, and medicine collapses overnight. Governments nationalize key industries. Factories that made cars and civilian electronics are forced to retool for wartime production. Conscription returns. But this isn't the trench warfare of the past. Modern militaries draft for specific skill sets: drone operators, cybersecurity experts, logisticians, and engineers. Millions of civilians are suddenly pulled into the machinery of war. Meanwhile, the secondary effects claim their first victims. Without global shipments of grain, fertilizer, and energy, nations heavily reliant on imports face immediate famine and freezing temperatures. Month 1. The kinetic war. The front lines are everywhere. Hypersonic missiles traveling at 5 times the speed of sound bypass traditional air defenses, striking command centers, fuel depots, and naval ports deep within enemy territory. In modern warfare, there is no safe civilian zone. Artificial intelligence dictates target prioritization, optimizing destruction at a pace human commanders can barely comprehend. Swarms of autonomous drones overwhelm traditional defenses. The oceans become no-go zones. Naval blockades and strategic choke points choke off the remaining global oil supply. Gas prices become irrelevant because fuel is strictly rationed for military use. Cities far from the physical fighting suffer profoundly. Water filtration plants fail without power. Hospitals run out of antibiotics and anesthetics. Disease begins to spread in densely packed urban centers. And then, the ultimate shadow falls over the conflict, the nuclear threshold. In a conventional World War III, the losing side faces an existential threat. When a nuclear-armed state starts losing its conventional forces, the doctrine of escalate to de-escalate comes into play. It starts with posturing, moving tactical warheads to the front lines. A warning shot detonated in the upper atmosphere, creating an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP that permanently fries electronics across a continent. Diplomatic backchannels are dead. The leaders are operating on flawed intelligence, sleep deprivation, and extreme paranoia. If a conventional missile strikes a dual-use radar facility, one that monitors both conventional and nuclear threats, the opposing side might interpret it as a preemptive nuclear strike. They have exactly 5 minutes to decide whether to launch a counterattack before their own silos are destroyed. If the final order is given, the war ends in roughly 90 minutes. But even if the nuclear threshold is never crossed, a conventional World War III would permanently alter the trajectory of human history. The global population would be decimated not just by bombs, but by the collapse of agriculture, medicine, and sanitation. The infrastructure it took centuries to build would take generations to rebuild. The idea of a third world war is terrifying, but understanding the brutal, unglamorous reality of it is the first step toward ensuring it remains a fiction. We live in an interconnected world where a spark in one hemisphere can burn down the other. The systems that keep us alive are fragile. It's up to us to protect the peace, because the alternative is unthinkable.